Ladies and gentlemen, there is a new RogueLite in town, and I am talking about RoboQuest. Check it out. Now the game is officially coming out on November 7th, so when this video goes live, it will be out, but it has been in early access for 3 years now. I've only ever heard great things about this game, especially right after I picked up Gunfire Reborn, another FPS roguelite. People said if you like Gunfire, you should give RoboQuest a try. You know, years later, I'm finally doing it, and my god, they were right. Can we also just talk about the soundtrack for this game, though? Oh my god, nothing but bangers from start to finish. It just gets your blood pumping, and it doesn't settle till everything else does. The sheer scale of roguelite elements in this game, paired with the simple nature in which they are delivered to the player, makes for an enjoyable experience from the very beginning, without causing players to feel overwhelmed from potential build possibilities. Sometimes when you jump into roguelites, Hades and Gunfire, for example, Risk of Rain to an extent, but not as much. There are situations where the items that you choose can make your run suffer. Instead of it being a run that thrives from a well put together build, you can get to a point where the run is now painful because you did not properly plan what you were doing. I got as far as you could in early access in this game and really didn't have any idea what I was doing build wise. It seems like no matter what I chose, I was just doing well, and if things did end up complementing each other, it ended up making it a much more enjoyable time, but I didn't have a bad time, and my runs were never painful when I wasn't having all sorts of synergies left and right, just because I wasn't aware of it quite yet. This is phenomenal for new players, especially if they're new to roguelites in general, because they can just start having fun, and then they can find these builds on their own and just realize the difference from having fun to having fun and thriving in the game as well. Even if the build is not S tier, they're going to be having a good time with it here. Like I said though, there's not really too much of an emphasis on build crafting. Now there is a bit of it here, but it's really not as in-depth as purposely hunting down multiple duplicates of an item in Risk of Rain, or making sure that you don't accidentally pick the wrong skill in Gunfire Reborn, because on higher difficulties, man, that can really screw you over. Here though, I haven't really noticed it. Here, everything just kind of seems to mesh pretty well with each other, even if it's not directly tied to your ability. But let's talk about leveling up. It's an XP system, so whenever you kill an enemy, you'll get XP. If the bar fills up, then obviously you level up, you get to choose perks. This is the thing I look forward to the most, even more than loot, because these are so strong. All of them just seem so strong to me. I have a hard time choosing half the time, but you do have an option to re-roll. You'll be able to unlock that at your main base as you gain resources from playthrough to playthrough. That'll allow you to re-roll your skills if you want to get some kind of build just cooking right off the bat. You can start snowballing ASAP if you want. But the way the UI is laid out is really simple. It's very intuitive. They do a really good job at eliminating any kind of confusion the player may come across. So props to them on that. It's really nice. Feels good to choose things. Feels good to level up. They really nailed it on this run. Let's talk about weapons. They're all very unique. They all feel great, except for the flare gun. I don't like the flare gun. Maybe it's just me. I think that thing's garbage. It might be a meme. Maybe there's something I don't understand about it. I don't like the flare gun. It's not good. Not good in my opinion. But everything else that I've used so far, and I certainly have not used everything. There's a lot of weapons to use here. But everything that I have used, aside from the flare gun, is great. And then you can see here, you got things like affixes that are going to be different from weapon to weapon. Every weapon can have affixes, and the white affix at the top will be static for every weapon with the same name. For example, the windmill rifle I just picked up has warm up, which increases its fire rate after firing for 1 second. All windmills will have this affix. After the static white rarity affixes, you will move on to higher rarities like green, blue, purple, etc., which will be random for each weapon. The current windmill that I'm using has explosive, which causes every 5th shot to explode, but if I were to pick up another windmill, it might not have that. Instead, it might have burn damage on it by default, which applies a damage over time effect. This keeps weapons feeling fresh, even if they are the same type, because it is rare that you will find 2 exact copies of a weapon at higher tiers, allowing for more unique experiences, even if you find yourself leaning towards one weapon in particular. Weapons can also have an alternate fire mode. Sometimes they will be uniquely baked into a weapon itself as a white affix, but most of the time it will be random whether or not a weapon has them. The windmill I'm using happens to have one called Can Opener, which gives it a melee attack that yields extra health on a kill. My personal favorite is a sort of rocket boots type alt fire, which launches you into the air by causing an explosion at your feet. It feels great to clear a few trash mobs with this while in the thick of it, while also giving you some breathing room in the air. Not to mention, it pairs very well with the mobility this game offers, which leads us to the next topic, movement. Hats off to the devs for making such a smooth movement system. You're not going to be flying around like it's Ultra Kill, but the fast-paced nature of your character's maneuvers are complemented by the close quarters arenas as well as the freedom to traverse them. You can also just ride certain rails that are littered throughout the maps. I'm sure you've already seen me land on some, but when you land on one of them and start riding, it just feels right. Like you're controlling the chaos while simultaneously adding fuel to the fire. I mean, just check this fight out. It's insane. It's literally just a fight where you're on rails the whole time. Honestly, it gives off a lot of Sunset Overdrive vibes, which is a good thing. But yeah, the movement and the music, they just pair together beautifully to get that adrenaline spike going. And when you have your weapon of choice and a few perks cranking your lethality up to 11, it's just pure blood-pumping mayhem. I mentioned earlier that you have a base. This is it. We have a selection of upgrades that will dramatically change and enhance the way we play as we spend more time with the game. The resources you earn for this are earned at a pretty frequent rate just by playing the game, so you'll almost always have something new to unlock after a solid run. As you can see, there's a lot to choose here, and it's going to take a little bit of time in-game to finally unlock everything, but I'm all for it. It's a fun game to play, and that grind is not frustrating. Here we have our class and gadget selection. Classes are completely different from one another, and will result in an almost entirely unique experience when switching from one to another. My personal favorite is Recon for the mobility, but I just completed a run with Ranger and ended up loving the Javelins and Invisibility. Lots to explore and play with in terms of classes. Gadgets are little passive buffs you can apply to yourself. For example, I run Vacuum, which increases my pickup range, helping me to grab health from fallen enemies without having to be as precise, letting me focus more on enemies and not the ground. I also run a gadget that increases my armor, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It just decreases the amount of damage I take. Very useful. We also have a building with an under construction sign, which I assume will be like an encyclopedia area since it's named the Compendium. Expect to see that at launch or sometime after. There's a lot of open space at the home base, which I hope Rise Up Studios utilizes with more facilities. I love seeing menu hubs get more crowded. On a side note, I just checked the Steam page and noticed that Starbreeze is the publisher for this, which I mean, ooh. Rise Up Studios seems to know what they're doing. I just hope Starbreeze doesn't get in the way of that. It's nice to know there's at least one functional good game under their belt right now, other than Payday 2. Anyways, for those of you who like secrets, and most importantly, getting rewarded for them, there's a few light ones present in this game. Nothing crazy yet, or at least I haven't seen anything I couldn't easily solve yet, but the rewards are worth it if you check these little secret side areas out, and the devs have said they are going to be adding more secrets as well as new NPCs and quests at launch, which is exciting. Speaking of side areas, there's actually branching paths that you can take in this game. There's only a few at the moment, but I have seen a lot more with under construction signs on them, and hope that they will be introduced at launch. Ideally, they will have significant outcomes on the game, like in Dead Cells, but even if they don't, the ones that are already present in the game bring you to different areas with fun thematic toys, like explosive barrels in the quarry, if you choose to go down that route. Here's a list of new things that will already be in the game by the time you're watching this video. I'm incredibly excited for the future of this game, and if it's something I can stick with, it's something that I'm hoping I can cover in the future. Can't recommend this game enough to FPS and roguelite enjoyers alike. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you could, leave a comment and like to show some support, it'd be greatly appreciated. And I hope you all have a great day. I'm Hatterax, and I'm signing off. Peace.